Today is the big day, Syracuse versus Georgia Tech. Who will win this football game? I'm counting on Syracuse. Syracuse has all the weapons to beat Georgia Tech. All the hype is on Georgia Tech because they beat a downtrodden Florida State team. I think Syracuse can definitely pull this off with the offensive weapons we have at all positions: wide receiver, running back, and the quarterback. Kyle McCord throw guys open, and these guys have speed and hands and the ability to stretch the field. So I think Georgia Tech is going to have multiple problems from Syracuse offensive weapons. I don't think they have the defensive power to stop Syracuse, run or pass. LaQuint Allen last year had a field days on Georgia Tech, and Georgia Tech isn't that good of a team in my eyes. I don't think they played a powerful team as of yet. The two teams they beat are downtrodden, and it looks like they're a good football team, but I don't think they were challenged. And I think this will be a good challenge for Syracuse and Georgia Tech to see where they are. But I think Syracuse come off with the victory because how they played last year, 2 different years, but it's a measuring stick. And I just like the way Syracuse offense flows with Kyle McCord at the helm and Yazid Haynes and Trevor Pena and Oronde Gatson out there all together creates problem, and they have backups that can stretch the field and create problems. True freshmen who can come out and stretch the field, and Ross and Simmons Ross hasn't played yet. So Syracuse has multiple weapons to give Georgia Tech problems. Georgia Tech defense is by far a little above average. I just don't see them stopping Syracuse the way they stopped Florida State or Georgia State. But Georgia State had a good time running on them, and I think Syracuse offensive line can open holes to give Syracuse advantage in the run and an equal opportunity in the pass because Syracuse this year can be a well-balanced team. It's all dependent upon the offensive line, how they fare against Georgia Tech's defensive line, which is up to this point has been very good and stout. So we have to see how Syracuse match up with Georgia Tech defensive line, and Syracuse defensive line matches up with Georgia Tech offense because the last game we can't downplay Ohio because they are a 10-win team and they are very physical. Just because it's a team from the MEAC doesn't mean we should count them out because those teams are solid and have been good for many years and have upset a lot of Power 5 schools in their process to greatness. So you can't doubt these guys. They're well coached and their defense is solid. You see all guys run to the football, so you can't just doubt this team. And they'll probably win 10 games this year in the MEAC because they're a solid team and they're top 10. And they would be a low-level Power 5, probably a mid-team that's tough and give you a fight, but they're still gaining athletes to overcome the Power 5 athletic prowess, but something that is hard to do. But they've been right there at the door every year, playing hard, and a team that you just can't look past. So Ohio is going to be a solid team as the year go on, and we will see and be able to judge Syracuse from a different standpoint because we're looking at the division that Ohio plays in, but these teams from that conference are good. Every year they shock a couple of teams that are Power 5. So we can't just look past them as being a team that is a pushover. And Georgia Tech has physicality, but so does Ohio. And today we'll see what or how Syracuse fares against Georgia Tech's gritty defense. But I think we can maintain their offense because they're small guys and we have guys that are very skilled and can hit. But the thing is this, we have to tackle better since the last game because that tackling was atrocious. We need to wrap up, squeeze, and bring guys down. All this trying to level guys and just run through them isn't working. So we need to go back to the drawing board and fundamentals and learn how to wrap up. Many of those plays against Ohio could have been stopped at the line if guys were wrapping up, and it would have been a much different ball game. So Syracuse needs to clean up on the defensive side with some skillful tackling to bring the man down to the ground. None of this running into the guy and not wrapping up. Wrap those legs up, squeeze, bring him down, and Syracuse defense will look better on the stat sheet because they're letting guys get yards after they're hit, and that doesn't look good on film. So Syracuse has to settle down, tackle better, and play a little more discipline without the penalties. And I could see them beating Georgia Tech by at least 2 touchdowns. And now we'll get to see more of this offense that's high powered because I don't think that we show anything of significance against Ohio because we basically own that game and outpower them. It was just us making mistakes, not settling in or anticipating plays and overrunning plays because of anxiety. When players learn how to compose themselves, sit down, relax, and get that Zen energy, then they'll be very good. But right now, they're all over the place, nervous, overthinking things. Once they settle in, I could see Syracuse being a much better football team than they were last week. Each week, if they can conquer that, I could see this team going to heights that people couldn't imagine because they have the talent at all positions. It just has to come together and guys have to play together and stop trying to play as individuals or play somebody else's position. Play your position and win your battle. And Syracuse can possibly run the table. They have the talent. All positions are offense. Every week, the defense has potential to get better and to be coached up and grow stronger as a unit. Syracuse is in a good place right now due to their schedule and the pieces that they added in the offseason. So Fran Brown gets a hats off for what he's doing and for the first game, being a first-time coach, being able to manage and come down and win the 2-minute drill with a touchdown before halftime. So this guy's been around a lot of well-coached guys, and I can understand the anxiety and the anger on the sideline because he's nervous. This is his first game, but hopefully he grows each game because you don't want to see him break his coaching staff because right now they have a good thing going as long as they stay on the same page and guys' egos don't get too big. If he can contain those things, Syracuse can be back on the road to success under Fran Brown and the assistants that he brought in because these guys, as you've seen in the spring game, they're doing their job. Guys are playing more disciplined. They look like a football team. They've grown. The strength is much better. So on all levels, the coaching staff gets a thumbs up. Now we just hope it translates to the field game from game to game, and those add up and wins, and we can reach the highest pinnacle in football and bring Syracuse back where it was in the 80s because people miss that, and Syracuse loves its football. People don't understand that, but they will see coming soon to Fran Brown and his team. But I'm picking Syracuse over Georgia Tech by 2 touchdowns because we have the firepower and the players to get this done. We just have to count on our defense to shut these guys down and play discipline and tackle more vicious and strike harder and wrap up. If we do those things, Georgia Tech will be a cakewalk, and the rest of the schedule will be too. If we play our position how it's supposed to be played and stop trying to do other people's job, we have this in the bag. Until the next time, Syracuse football.